This prehistoric ocean was thalassophobia on steroids. I'm kind of a hoe for videos like these. I can't lie. I haven't even started the video yet. And I just love them, man. They scratch a little itch. You know what I mean? They scratch a little itch.
For many good reasons, you are probably much more willing to be dropped into the middle of nowhere on land.
It's a bit different, D-man.
Ocean or sea.
It's a bit different.
After all, it does appear
that
once you venture into the depths,
where was you? Okay, his very first. Okay, what a crazy thing to pause on. Who the hell is this guy? Would you guys rather get dropped in a random place, like on land, or a random place in the ocean for like 10 seconds? And you won't die from like crushing depths. You know? So it's not that like you won't go to the bottom of the ocean. Land all the way. But what if you're like on, I don't know, what would be the bad? Ocean is scary. Ocean is scary, but like, oh, okay, yeah. Point of the video, ocean's scary. And who the hell is this guy? Why does he have balls for eyes? I guess we all have balls for eyes, but why does he have nuts, like testicles for eyes?
Starts to become more disturbing. And this seems to be a common trend throughout history.
Is the volume good?
Every point in time often has an animal or two lurking around in the waters that was far scarier than anything found on land. One documentary that nicely sums this up is Sea Monsters, which made a list of the top 10 deadliest seas or oceans of all time. Among those mentioned included Jurassic waters home to giant plesiosaurs, pre-Mesozoic oceans filled with giant...
Could you imagine rolling up on this guy? Like imagine you're scuba diving, because I feel like right now we only have giant squids like in deep, deep ocean. Could you imagine you're just like on a reef or something, scubaing out in the tropics, and this guy pulls up on you? You're saying hi to like a little crab in a crevice, and this guy pulls up and just eats it, just sucks it out of the side. Barrel eye fish, by the way. Let's take a look. I mean, we kind of saw him. How did you find that so fast? Like, what could you even pop? Oh, what? Okay, this might be the smartest creature on the planet. Look at him. Is that his brain? Wait, no, there's his eyes. Wait, what? You already knew. Of course you did. Of course you did, because why wouldn't you?
Cephalopods and sea scorpions, and even a Cenozoic sea that was home to the largest shark of all time. However, all this paled in comparison to their winner, a body of water that existed during the late Cretaceous that was home to numerous animals that would put...
I know sea scorpions? What are we talking about? Thank God we don't have sea scorpions still.
Much of the marine predators of today to shame. Some of these beasts were included in the documentary, yet many didn't make the cut, despite definitely being worthy of tingling your thalassophobia. And adding more reason
I don't want my thalassophobia tingled.
Was absolutely the worst place to go swimming ever. Welcome, my friends, to the Western Interior Seaway, or as some people like to call it, Hell's Aquarium. While you may have never heard of this prehistoric shallow ocean or inland sea, there is a fair chance you've walked across it, or at least what's left of it, if you live in the United States, Mexico, or Canada. Because when it was filled with water, it's
Midwestern people. That explains so much.
Split these countries across, basically drawing a line through most of North America. And in the process, it created two island continents that no longer exist.
Appalachia? Is that actually what it was called? Wait, is that actually what it was called? I'm in Appalachia. What? That's crazy. That's crazy. What, am I saying it wrong? Hey, I know how it's said, man. I know how it's said. I'm from here. I'm from here. That's what it's called, man. It's Appalachia. That's the right way. Yeehaw, brother. Yeehaw. Western Interior Seaway. Could you imagine if the U.S. was still like this? Do you think, okay, think with me here. Do you think if the USA was still around right now, do you think we'd own all of this? You can't see my mouse, but do you think we'd own all of this? Or do you think like we'd only own Appalachia? Or do you think we'd also have Laramidia. Do you think we'd have both? Or do you think we'd only have one or the other? I feel like the US would have both, you know? Or England would just have everything, as they try to do. I don't know, man.
Laramidia, which lay to the west, and Appalachia that stood to the east.
Okay.
This state of existence persisted for roughly 34 million years, from the early Cretaceous 100 million years ago, all the way to the earliest Paleocene epoch 66 million years ago. Throughout this time, sea monsters could be found at every point, but some periods were unarguably worse than others, with the western interior Seaway having reached its climax and peak nopeness during the Campanian age of the late Cretaceous, spanning between 83.6 and 72.1 million years ago. At the time, the Seaway was warm and tropical in nature while spanning 600 miles or 970 kilometers at its widest point.
Okay, I didn't think it was going to be that big of a gap. 600 miles? Yeah. Oh, wait. This guy's already talking about it. Look at that. US and Mexico. Hold up. Lock in.
And measuring over 2,000 miles or 3,000...
So that's Canada now. So you say Mexico swooped under, United States moved in over top. Yeah, I don't think we'd be able to own both. I definitely think it'd be split up. No shot. No shot. USA couldn't do that. Maybe. You know? I actually, my name is Big T. I don't care about the big body of water. I want it all. I want to have it all. We're going to have the strongest navy. We're going to own the entire strait. We're going to have it all. All the trade going there. We're going to tax it all. I could see something like that happening. But I don't know, man. Or maybe the big sea creatures would take down the navy.
200 kilometers long. Additionally, it was remarkably shallow for its size, possibly only being 900 meters or 3,000 feet deep at its deepest point, compared to its presumed average depth of around 50 meters or 150 feet. Yet despite its smallish size, the western interior Seaway still managed to cram in a ridiculous amount of nightmarish predators that were routinely larger or scarier than any of the predatory dinosaurs seen on land. By far the most famous of these aquatic monsters, and likely the worst to swim into, were the Mosasaurs. This was an extinct group of aquatic reptiles that could grow to massive sizes, and were characterized by body shapes similar to that of monitor lizards.
Aww.
However, unlike their modern-day relatives, Mosasaurs had 4 paddle-like flippers instead of limbs, and their bodies were elongated and streamlined for maximum drag reduction. Depending on how advanced the said species was, these guys would have also swam like an eel in an undulating fashion, or as in later developed Mosasaurs, like a shark, as they had larger tail flukes that they used to propel themselves with surprising speed. These powerful swimmers completely dominated the western interior Seaway, often being the biggest predators and sporting highly specialized teeth that were typically large, sharp, and sometimes serrated.
Dude, could you imagine? Because that is totally something that humans now, like if that was around, would swim in. You know what I mean? 150 feet deep? Like, that's not crazy. How is this thing of that size swimming around in there? Just imagine, like, you're just hopping off the boat with the buddies. You're jumping into the water. This giant reptilian beast just eats you. Absolutely terrifying, bro. Absolutely terrifying. I would not fluff with that. I would not fluff with that one bit. Zach, what's going on, man? I don't know. And this isn't the type of thing, this isn't like a shark. You're not punching its nose and getting away. You're not grabbing his gills and yanking him crazy. Like, oh my God.
Ultimately resulted in them enjoying a high level of diversification that they didn't experience anywhere else, as over 10 genera are known to have coexisted all at once, ranging from 2 meters or 6.5 feet to possibly 18 meters or 59 feet in length. But despite their diversity, chances are you'd only be attacked by 3 kinds: the Platycarpus, Clydastes, and Tylosaurus, as together they represent the most abundant mosasaurs in this environment, with most specimens from this time being attributed to them. Of the trio, the smallest was Clydastes, who was still by no means tiny, with certain specimens growing up to 6.2 meters or...
Okay, so you're telling me that the smallest one was still 6 meters? What is that? Wait, I need freedom units. 6.2 meters to feet. 20 feet long, dude. 20 feet long. Average length of alligator. No, just give me AI overview. Alligator size guide. 8 foot. So this is, dude, yeah, 12 foot. I'm down, Zach. 12 foot. And this one's 20. I don't even fluff with crocodiles or alligators. Heck no. I remember when I went to Florida, I was terrified of these creatures.
Or 20 feet in length, which is similar to the length of the largest recorded great whites. Although it was much more narrow.
And it's the
which
smallest.
Came with its own advantages as it allowed it to be an extremely agile hunter, who used its smooth teeth to catch a variety of fish and invertebrates within the shallowest parts of the Seaway.
A bird?
While it wasn't designed to be a threat to human-sized animals per se, this mosasaur was still capable of a nasty bite, and may have even been able to travel for some time into fresh water, making it that much harder to avoid. Things start to further ramp up when moving on to the Platycarpus, as this abundant mosasaur was a tad bit bigger, with certain individuals measuring 24 feet or 7 meters from head to tail, while weighing about 1 ton, close to the weight of giant Nile crocs, Africa's current largest predator. At this size, the Platycarpus should hopefully raise your thalassophobia more than Clydastes, and yet ironically, it likely wasn't a huge threat to aquatic megafauna, since studies on its teeth have found them to have been extremely fragile, leading paleontologists to speculate that it feasted primarily on smaller fish and soft-tissued squid.
Okay, so see, he's not really a big deal. He ain't gonna fluff with us. He sees a big boned human jump in the water. He's not messing with us. He is not messing with us. Interesting that they were so fragile, though, being that size. You know what I mean? So he's a friend, exactly. Maybe we could have them as pets. We get their DNA, bring them back, kind of Jurassic World style. We bring it back. It's like a sea mount, you know, put a saddle on them, see where they bring us.
Within deep waters. It might start looking like this was the worst place ever,
and then you show me this picture.
But don't relax too much, as the third most common mosasaur was a giant with an appetite to match. And this is the Tylosaurus.
Bro.
This mosasaur was in most ways
Is it eating a pterodactyl? Bro.
The same as others of its kind. Just everything about it was much bigger, with adults being anywhere from 12 to 15.8 meters, or 39 to 52 feet long.
52 feet long? Brother. What are we talking about?
Fairly similar to the length of a humpback whale.
Oh, just a predatory whale. Just a predatory humpback whale. Could you imagine? Oh my god.
Making it one of the largest mosasaurs across the entire planet. And unlike the Platycarpus, Tylosaurus had teeth that were no joke, with matured individuals possessing up to 32 teeth at any given point, that were fairly similar to each other in nature, being large, thick, recurved, and finely serrated, perfectly adapted for tearing through large animals. And thanks to its size, Tylosaurus could pretty much bully anything it wanted to in its environment, playing the role of an apex predator and routinely hunted a wide range of animals, that is reflected by its stomach contents, as they have included the remains of plesiosaurs, turtles, birds, bony fish, sharks, and even other mosasaurs. The Tylosaurus is believed to have mostly utilized ambushes during these hunts, where it would strike unsuspecting prey at high speeds, and possibly deploying a secret weapon as well: its snout.
Okay, so it already has this arsenal of teeth and the brain for ambush, predatory actions. It needs a secret weapon. Obviously, it needs a secret weapon. What could its snout possibly do? Is it going to use it like a battering ram? Perhaps a spear?
Snout was quite unique to Tylosaurus, with it being proportionally very long and having all teeth situated farther back.
Lasers.
Meaning that the front was pure bone. The tip of the snout was also fitted with a robustly built knob that was backed by shock compression structures.
No way.
Leading to the belief that this snout was literally a built-in ram that Tylosaurus used to bash animals around.
That's insane. Dude, that thing could be hitting boats. Hitting boats. You imagine you're like a Viking or something? I know these things weren't around, but like, you're a Viking, you're in Appalachia, you want to head over to the other place. I don't remember what it was called. Sitting there on your rowboat. And then just a bony nose sticks through the hull straight into one of your guys. Just in him. Just starts eating people. My god. Like, why I'm so thankful I'm alive when I am, that there's not these terrifying creatures. I would just never go on a boat ever.
And evidence shows that Tylosaurus was quite liberal with the use of this weapon, being a hyper-aggressive animal that attacked nearly everything,
Bro.
including itself, as adult specimens routinely bear damage thought to have come from other competitors. Even the rarer yet equally deadly Mosasaurus was sometimes attacked, with one fatal case even being known of, wherein a Tylosaurus had rammed and smashed the brain case of a Mosasaurus apart, leading to a swift death.
That's insane.
Don't get it twisted though, as Mosasaurus still held the distinction of the largest mosasaur and therefore predator in these waters, occasionally growing to be 17.1 meters or 56 feet long, and weighing over 10 tons. And while it didn't have a battering ram like Tylosaurus did, Mosasaurus arguably had the deadlier bite, with its skull being relatively large for its body, allowing for a row of giant teeth that were made for slicing and dicing.
It's literally like an aquatic T-Rex with the way their jaw and stuff is built. It's like if you showed me a picture of this skull, I could be convinced that this is like a T-Rex. You know what I mean?
Each tooth possessed two opposite cutting edges as well as prisms that ran down the sides, helping each bite to cut deeper while simultaneously improving the overall gripping strength. Its bite was also much more powerful, with studies suggesting a bite force of between 13,000 and 16,000 pounds per square inch, which is 4 times the power of a saltwater croc's bite. With such power and size, Mosasaurus became another one of the western interior seaway's apex predators, having a diet just as diverse as the Tylosaurus's. And again, similar to its relative, it is thought to have employed ambush hunting to capture prey. Unlike sharks, these giants didn't rely on a keen sense of smell to target prey. Rather, they had powerful binocular vision that provided pristine views in the murkiest of waters. And unfortunately for all, Tylosaurus and Mosasaurus were not the only giants of their kind prowling around with great vision, as you also had mosasaurs like Prognathodon, which was only 25% small.
Right? Like, how are you getting... You gotta be a stupid fish to be getting ambushed by this thing. 20 feet long and weighing 10 tons? How do you not notice him? How do you not notice him? He's giant. He's giant. Yo, mama and daddy probably got killed by him. This is insane. I don't understand.
Smaller than the Mosasaurus, and also had a ferocious bite.
I hate it when they compare it to a human. You know what I mean? I'm like, that's very settling. You know, that makes me feel good knowing that I'm a tenth of the size of these things. 20 feet long and weighs 10 tons sounds like Luke. All right, bro.
Remarkably, despite holding the title of the biggest predators, the Mosasaurs did not have the deadliest jaws in these waters, as that title went to a predator that coasted the most outer edges of the western interior seaway, the Deinosuchus. Yep, that's right. This prehistoric body of water not only had the largest mosasaurs of all time, but one of the largest crocodilians as well. Currently, scientists are not positive on the extent of the Deinosuchus' presence in the region, but it's thought that it definitely inhabited bays, estuaries, and the coast, while perhaps venturing into deeper waters as well from time to time, since specimens have been found in marine deposits. Furthermore, it definitely lived on both the eastern and western side of the Seaway.
Dude, that is actually miserable to be alive during. On land, dinosaurs. Try to go for a drink by the shore, ginormous croc bites your head off.
And interestingly differed in size depending on which side it lived. To the east, Deinosuchus grew to smaller sizes but were far more plentiful, while in the west they were fewer but far larger, reaching 12 meters or 39 feet in length.
40 feet long!
This obviously isn't very close to the length of the largest mosasaurs, though Deinosuchus was far more robust in build, allowing it to stand its ground when it came to weight, with estimates suggesting a maximum of around 8.5 tons.
There's no way. There's no way it's going toe-to-toe with a T-Rex. How? That's insane, man. I mean, dude, like, where's the weight? How heavy did you say it was?
Ground when it came to weight, with estimates suggesting a maximum of around 8.5 tons.
8.5 tons? Are we trolling? Bro, I feel like that's stronger than dinosaurs. Like, if you kill something on the coast and this thing comes out of the water, you're backing off. You're like, that's all you, man. That's all you. You can have it. You can have it.
Disregarding weight, Deinosuchus had the advantage of more impregnable defenses,
Impregnable?
since, like many crocodilians, it too was covered in osteoderms. However, Deinosuchus was a bit unique in that its osteoderms were much larger and heavier than normal. In fact, when they were first recovered, paleontologists confused them for the armor of an Ankylosaurus. These homegrown armored plates would have covered the back of adults and were hemispherical in shape, providing ample armor while also serving as attachment
They always draw them with such fat bellies, bro. Look at that.
points for tissue, which
All right, that's just a stupid dino.
shape,
No, not this
providing
one.
ample armor while
Brother,
also
what are we
serving
doing
as
over here on the
attachment
right?
points for
What are we looking for in there? You think there's a meal in there? I promise you there ain't. He thinks this is some sort of symbiotic relationship of like, you know, when you have a creature on you, like the spider that owns a toad. You know what I'm talking about? Cleaning their teeth? I don't know. I don't know if that's what it is.
tissue, which ultimately played a massive role in its ability to walk outside of water. Overall, these osteoderms made Deinosuchus one of the better equipped animals in the waters, but what really made it stick out was its monstrous bite. For starters, Deinosuchus had massive
How did they get that footage?
skulls that were alligator-like in structure, meaning they were very broad, giving them immense biting power that was only amplified by the presence
Oh my
of well-developed
gosh.
jaw muscles. All of this
The
resulted in a
camera.
bite that potentially delivered more power than even that of a fully grown T-Rex, with some studies estimating
A
a bite
stronger
force of
bite than
over
a T-Rex?
100,000 newtons, 5 times the power needed to crush a car.
Oh, so it could crush a car. Lovely. Dude, I feel like being a dinosaur might be one of the worst times to be alive as a creature. Like, you have absolutely insane predators on land. Everything can kill you. Even the herbivores can kill you if you're a predator. Get smacked with a giant club from a creature. You know what I mean? You want to go for a drink? Car-crushing weight jaw force dropped on your neck by a beast.
This staggering amount of energy would have been channeled into their robust teeth that were sharper towards the front and blunter towards the back, suggesting that this croc was designed to crush things to death rather than tear. It's thought that, like the American alligator, Deinosuchus was an opportunistic feeder who munched on anything it could catch. Yet fossil evidence shows that it had a preference for marine turtles, large fish, and dinosaurs that ventured too close to the water. The coasts and shallow reefs of this prehistoric seaway were no doubt a terrible place to be if trying to avoid the largest predators around. But the more open waters were home to their own share of nightmares too, including rather peculiar cephalopods to say the least. Cretaceous
they were
cephalopods like the
Am I crazy? I thought cephalopods were pretty chill. Like, I know, like, giant squid, it'll grab some, eat it, but, like, I thought overall they were kind of tame, not really too predatory and mean. I mean, I guess the kraken. You got to think about the kraken.
those of today were still found in shallow water, but they held a much more expansive range in the deeper areas compared to others. Despite not being as big or as bad as the Mosasaurs, or Deinosuchus for that matter, they still feasted on whatever was floating around, as western interior seaway cephalopods were among the biggest of their kind, even rivaling the size of living krakens today, like the colossal and giant squid. Two of the better known large cephalopods from those times were Plesiosaurs and Ankylosaurs, both members of the now
Can't lie, if it has tooth in its name, we might be in trouble.
extinct Ankylosauridae family. These two sea monsters were incredibly similar. So much so, in fact, that paleontologists often like to argue on if a recovered specimen belongs to one or the other. What we do know, though, is that they were big, frightening looking, and confusing. Confusing in the sense that they had the appearance of a girthy, relatively short squid, and yet were more related to modern octopus than living squids. In their youth,
There are a couple verified human attacks by cephalopods? Bro, an octopus? Trying to eat a human. I mean, dude, I feel like they could grip you. I mean, but like, what are they going to eat? I feel like they're not big enough. Way.
these cephalopods were quite small and vulnerable to attacks, with paleontologists believing that they actually made up the bulk of a lot of aquatic animals' diets, an idea backed by prehistoric fish stomach contents. However, in response to being fish food, these cephalopods adapted by maturing rapidly, and showing extreme size variation among individuals. leading to some specimens being about the size of your arm, while others could get 3 meters or 10 feet long. At this size, these guys were active predators and turned the tables on their once would-be attackers, typically eating fish.
Oh, I hate their beak, man. Like, they grab it and it's just hang, 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 hang. It's like pushing things into a wood chipper, you know? Ugh.
Invertebrates, and even vertebrates like baby Mosasaurs and Plesiosaurs. Akin to how octopus hunt, Tusoteuthis and Ankoteuthis would have used their 10 tentacles, lined with suckers, to ensnare prey which were then swiftly ushered into their waiting beaks. Additionally, while not confirmed, many think that they were also capable of squirting ink when a quick escape was necessary, and were quite speedy, relying upon jet propulsion to maneuver the waters.
I wonder the first animal to not come up with the idea, but to like evolve squirting ink. You know what I mean? What's going on, fish? Like, speaking of fish, this whole video is about you. Like, squirting ink as a means to escape and dissuade prey. Like, imagine, right? Imagine. You walk out of the grocery store. Bing, it's pretty late at night. It's pretty dark out. You walk out. Carrying your bags, got a couple energy drinks, you got a long day tomorrow, got some breakfast sandwiches, you know. Walking. And then, bang! Guy jumps at you. Ah! You immediately, in his face, run away. Like, that's practically what they're doing. Let's be for real. Drop the draws, and then dip. Insane behavior. I wonder how evolution gets to a point where, like, this is the most effective way for us to escape. This is our best bet, fellas. This is our best bet. We're gonna ink.
Obviously, these cephalopods had some useful tools, yet one area that they were lacking in was armor, as their bodies were for the most part composed of very soft tissue. Although there was—
Dude, yeah, like skunks, man, exactly. Speaking of skunks, the other day, there was this whole family of skunks outside my apartment. I didn't know this, but they move in like a clump. They were like all on top of one another, like running. It was so weird. They were like a amalgamous mass of skunk. Obviously, I didn't go outside. I didn't want to get messed up, but dang.
was another cephalopod lurking around that had an answer to this problem. This was Parapazosia. Despite hailing from the same class of animals, Parapazosia was not an octopoda like the two formerly mentioned creatures, but instead a member of the Ammonite order, a now extinct group of cephalopods whose closest living relatives are the coleoids. All members of this order, Parapazosia included, bore spiral shells which were made of calcium carbonate, the same mineral seen in snail shells. Analysis on the shells showed that the calcium carbonate was arranged in prisms, crystals, or other shapes and patterns depending on the layer. These shells provided a fair degree of protection against predators, and also housed the majority of their bodies, which in the case of Parapazosia was a lot, since it was a true sea monster, holding the title of the largest known ammonite and the heaviest cephalopod of all time, outclassing both the giant and colossal squid. The largest known Parapazosia had shells that were possibly 3.5 meters or 11 feet in diameter, meaning that with flesh, these individuals are probably over 1.5 tons in weight.
That's insane. The size of that shell. Oh, and you just think it's like just crawling on the ground, all its tongues or, tentacles sticking out, just sucking up everything. To like maintain that body weight and such, It's like it's a tank.
Weight, of which nearly half came from the shell alone. And if you could somehow pry a shell off of one of these giants, it's thought that their body would uncurl to a total length of 60 feet or 18 meters.
60 feet
about twice
of body?
the length of a whale shark. Such size gave Parapazosia one more accolade, the heaviest invertebrate of all time. But what it did with this size is unknown, as all members of its order and their closer relatives are extinct, rendering their daily lives a mystery.
It'd be so cool if we had like smaller ones of these guys around nowadays. See, I wonder why it's not advantageous now for them to be in a shell. Because, we still have octopus, squids. I wonder why, I understand they all went extinct, but why was this an ineffective strategy to stay alive,
What we do know, though, is that individuals could be found throughout the entire western interior seaway, intended to stick to the upper layer of water. typically not going below 250 meters or 800 feet, meaning that unlike giant squids of today, these behemoths weren't hard to find.
They're just floating
and finding
around.
It may not have been in your best interest either, as it could have been adept at catching fish, other cephalopods, and even marine reptiles. However, on the flip side, some think it was actually more likely to give you a death through jump scare than predation, with some arguing that it mostly stuck to vegetation and plankton, only hunting the slowest of creatures due to its sluggishness. It's quite shocking that this giant bizarre invertebrate could be found in an area that also housed the largest mosasaur and one of the largest crocodilians of all time, making the Western Interior Seaway seem like something out of a monster movie. And at the very same time, there were horrors swimming around that we are all too familiar with, including sharks. They may not have been the true kings of the time, but they were still highly successful, playing the role of both scavengers and active predators, while also being
kind of crazy how long sharks have been around. They've stuck it out. You know what I mean? They got bigger, they got smaller, but they
one
still
of the most
here.
commonly found carnivores around. Like many, these Cretaceous sharks apparently had a touch of gigantism, as a few types found in the Seaway were among the largest known sharks. Although, in contrast to say Deinosuchus, size didn't necessarily mean the sharks made the waters deadlier, since the biggest of them all, the Deinosuchus, was actually relatively harmless to most. This was a mackerel shark the size of a whale shark, but unlike the whale shark, didn't use filter feeding, but yet was still highly specialized in its own regard, sporting a durophagous diet, meaning it primarily ate anything with a shell or exoskeleton. This odd diet was deduced by the shark's teeth.
I was about to say, is that teeth? What the? It looks like it's like sandpaper, you know what I mean? Like it just...
Which weren't sharp or serrated, but were instead fairly flat plates that were designed to crush. These teeth were abundant, sometimes numbering over 500,
weird looking. It looks like fingerprints.
Huge, with the biggest recorded being longer than a ruler. These robust teeth...
Brother, it just said one tooth could be a ruler in length?
Would have allowed the shark to easily crush a variety of slow, hard-moving prey like crustaceans or
turtles, man.
Not all.
I feel like now turtles are pretty immune. You know what I mean? I feel like turtles are pretty strong nowadays. You don't have a lot of things preying on a turtle. What thing is going to try to crack a turtle? Crack into the shell and get a turtle.
Docile though, as when you do go down in size, you run into a still fairly big, yet much more voracious, toothy fish, the Cretaceous, more commonly known as the Ginsu shark. Like Deinosuchus, this was a mackerel shark, but this one bore a striking resemblance to our very own great white, while also sharing an oddly similar lifestyle, even though the two were not closely related, demonstrating a case of convergent evolution millions of years in the making. This was obviously terrible news for any animal around, since it meant that the
See, baby turtles I understand, but like a grown turtle? I don't know.
Cretaceous would have taken a stab at any kind of prey if the size was right. But it gets even scarier, because this shark was particularly good at killing a certain kind of animal. Active predators. That's right, the bulk of the Cretaceous
a predator's predator? Christian in the YouTube Shorts chat, what's going on, man?
Rhina's diet came from other megafaunal marine predators, such as sharks, Mosasaurs, Plesiosaurs, and fish, all of which have been found in the stomach regions of certain specimens. Such a diet indicates a hyper-aggressive animal and brings up the question of how it achieved such a feat. Well, the secret lay in its size and locomotion, as despite sometimes being 8 meters or 26 feet long and weighing
26 feet long, man. I just can't imagine you're a predator and you think you're safe. You know what I mean? You're like, I'm top dog around here. No one can fluff with me. I go around eating whatever, whenever. This dude pull up. Hang, hang. Slammed, dead, lights out.
Over 5 tons, it was still ridiculously fast, evidenced by the pattern of its placoid scales, which reduced drag and were organized in a fashion only seen in the fastest living sharks. Additionally, Cretaceous had the most extreme case of a Type 4 tail fin seen in any mackerel shark.
Type 4 tail fin? Is this like a V8 engine, V12?
Big news, as this type of fin supports high speeds, and models estimate that this giant could have topped speeds of 70 kilometers or 43 miles per hour, where its
honestly, 43 miles per hour. I mean, I know it's a giant creature, so it is kind of crazy to move that fast. That doesn't seem too terrifying. You know, 43 miles an hour. I feel like, I can run that fast. Give me like a little warm-up stretch. Like, not too wild.
Powerful jaws would have then come into play, dealing catastrophic damage, as they were lined with rows of razor-sharp teeth, which were bigger than those even seen in great whites, and also had thicker coats of enamel in order to survive these massive collisions. Fossil remains support the notion of high-speed attacks too, as nearly all bones found with bite
Hold up. Someone is opening my front door. Let me see if it's shut. I'm back. It was shelf. It was shelf.
marks belonging to this shark are extremely deep and large. And some of these said fossils have actually come from dinosaurs, showcasing that not even the rulers of the Mesozoic were safe. Albeit the dinosaurs in question, which were a hadrosaur and ankylosaur, were likely scavenged after their corpse had been washed out to sea.
Okay, I was going to say there's no way they're taking a bite out of that thing. There's no shot. I don't think anything is, unless you get its leg. I feel like velociraptors could take that down. But like something with a big jaw, that's going to be tough.
Were likely scavenged.
It just hurt the roof of your mouth, you know what I mean? It's like eating, when you have toast and it kind of shreds the roof of your mouth because it's too crunchy? I feel like that's what that would be for a giant beast eating a dinosaur.
After their corpse had been washed out to sea. Yet the Cretaceous is still more than enough shark to fill anyone's galeophobia. But the fin nightmares didn't stop with it, as you can't forget the presence of a smaller shark that still managed to make the waters even more, quote-unquote, interesting, the Squalicorax, better known by its nickname, the crow shark. It too is a mackerel
like a
shark.
Cutie pie.
However, it was quite a bit smaller, normally measuring between 1.8 meters or 5.9 feet.
5.9 feet. That's smaller than me. Finally, we are in safe territory, fellas.
And 4.8 meters or 16 feet in length.
Okay, never mind. 16 feet. All right.
Similar to the size of a tiger shark. And its likeness to the tiger of the ocean went beyond its size, as its teeth were remarkably
To fight kaiju, exactly.
similar too, being numerous, relatively small, curved, and serrated. Perfect for cutting and sawing through tough tissue. With such deadly teeth,
dude,
and serrated.
This is the indomitable spirit. Look at him. He ain't going down without a fight. He's taking that little bit of fin with him. He might be going down, but he's taking that fin with him.
Cutting and sawing through tough tissue. With such deadly teeth, the crow shark was capable of devouring many kinds of food that largely overlapped with the diet of the Cretaceous, with the major difference being that it went for the smaller individuals. Another difference between the two was that the crow shark tended to stick to more coastal areas and supplemented a larger portion of its calorie intake with scavenging, which again partially consisted of dinosaurs. It also developed a unique skill, hunting the rulers of the sky. In other words,
what the hell do you mean? Hunting the rulers of the sky? Are we dead ass? If I click play and I see this creature fly out of the water and get a pterodactyl,
the pterosaurs. Since, as opposed to other sharks, the crow shark has been known on more than one occasion to have successfully attacked large pterosaurs.
How? It's not jumping and getting... I mean, surely they'd be so high in the air. Would they land in the water, maybe? Or they'd swoop down to try to get fish, and then they'd get them?
Namely, the pteranodon.
Pteranodon. I knew that guy.
Which suggests that it had excellent vision that it used to track pterosaurs when they were getting ready to dive for a fish.
That's crazy. That's like pre-jumping in Rocket League, bro. That's like, I know he's going to go down. I know he's going to go for that fish. I know he's going to come down at that moment, and bang! That's crazy.
And speaking of fish, crow sharks are pretty good at hunting them too, with many specimens containing large amounts of fish within their stomachs. Among the fish that have been found, there is one that has really stuck out to paleontologists, since it too is well known for being a famous sea monster of the western interior seaway, the Xfish. You may recognize this name from certain documentaries, or you might be more familiar with its colloquial name, the Xfish. It was a large bony fish that belonged to the now extinct order known as the Ichthyodectiforms, who were specific.
Ichthyodectiforms. Say that 10 times fast, fellas in the chat.
typically comprised of ray-finned fish and were some of the meanest, ugliest fish to ever arise, with the Xfish being no exception, and
Why are his teeth like the back of a hammer? You see that? What nails is he pulling? Creepy little guy.
meanest, ugliest fish to ever arise, with the Xfish being no exception, and probably holding the title as the meanest looking of the bunch. The main feature behind its terrifying looks was clearly its mug, which was broad, pushed back, and
Mean
slanted.
muggin'.
And while this face X'd any chance for a career in modeling, it's what gave the Xfish its fearsome reputation and status as a top predator, as the jaw was highly flexible, allowing it to virtually swallow anything small enough, which meant a lot considering that adults could grow to be 5 to 6 meters, or 6
20 feet long? Surely he does not need that long of a body. I feel like he can have that jaw on a smaller body. Surely. Look at him. It looks like he was put in MS Paint and stretched lengthwise. You can't see behind my webcam, but his head is over, like, right under my webcam. Kind of wild.
16 to 20 feet in length. At the lower size estimate, Xfish were capable of swallowing human-sized prey with one gulp, as depicted by the
Human-sized prey in one gulp? It's like Damie Bear. My goodness. It's kind of insane. Human-sized prey in one gulp. Luke, we are watching The Prehistoric Ocean was Thalassophobia on steroids.
fish within a fish specimen, which showed a 1.9 meter or 6.2 foot long fish that had been swallowed whole by a medium-sized Xfish.
How does getting swallowed whole work? You know what I mean? Because, okay, get gulped in, right? But you're still alive. You're not dead. Are you just, like, in acid? Surely that thing is, like, squiggling and wriggling in your stomach, right? Or do you think they just give up? Like, that's the rules. That's the pond rules. We're here. It is what it is. I've never swallowed something whole that's alive. You know, I feel like surely a fish that is 2 meters in length does not just give up once it's been swallowed.
Furthermore, there are over a dozen other specimens that show similar findings. And on top of this crazy ability, this fish could still also cut through things with ease, thanks to their narrowed and sharp teeth, allowing them to both scavenge large animals or cut up living ones that could then be swallowed in smaller pieces. This was definitely the last non-shark fish you'd want to meet. And with the Xfish, you'd also start to arrive at the end of the list of sea monsters that truly made this place Hell's Aquarium. Naturally though, there were plenty of other piscivores and carnivores.
This is nuclear bomb versus coughing baby. A lobster fighting off this guy? I just feel bad for him, man. Imagine what is going through this little guy's head right now. It looks like he's gonna be holding it open. You know what I mean? How long? I mean, he's a pretty strong guy. He might be able to pinch his nose, scare him off. I don't know if he's making it, man. This is a human hand versus a lobster in a red lobster tank going in to grab him for his impending doom.
That I didn't mention. Yet most didn't really make the Seaway
Who is this? This looks like my Primarina card that I just pulled recently.
stand out in terms of deadliness. However, you really can't forget that there was one more iconic group present, the Plesiosaurs.
Obviously.
These guys, like the
Can't forget.
Mosasaurs, had 4 flippers, but the similarities stopped here, as Plesiosaurs had broad, flat bodies and short.
This is just a Lapras. Hold up. Oh, well, no. This one has a shell. This one does not. I mean, pretty similar, though. Look at them.
Weak tails, while their necks could also be comically long, giving certain members
Comically
the
long.
longest neck-to-body ratio of any reptile. To swim, they would have flapped their
a
flippers in
Gillette.
flying motion and mostly stuck to the shallower waters. So far, multiple kinds are known to have inhabited.
Surely he was not this big. Surely not. Look at this. Did he not say this was thousands of kilometers?
The western interior seaway, with the bulk being Plesiosauroids,
Loch Ness Monster
while a
over
few
here.
species of polycotylids were present too. Some of them could get quite long and were typically over 15 feet or 5 meters from head to tail,
15
with
feet?
the
That doesn't
longest
seem too
having been
crazy.
the Elasmosaurus and Albertonectes.
Bro. I'm moving my webcam just so you can see how obnoxious this is. Why is bro so long? What the hell? What is that build? How is that advantageous? That's got to be a joke. That's actually got to be a joke. Whoever made this diagram is just trolling. Look at the size of that. How does he even know where his ass is? This is like the joke where a guy walks in and his butt follows him 15 minutes later. Look at that, man. That's insane.
Both of whom grew to around 11.6 meters or 38 feet. Such length gave them the longest necks of all time, and the Elasmosaurus actually had the most vertebrae of any known animal.
100 vertebrae?
But despite their daunting lengths and appearances, these long-necked reptiles didn't really have voracious diets, as they were simply highly specialized for small prey, given the narrow nature of their mouths and necks.
But
it is believed that they would have used their necks to actually trick small animals like fish by approaching them with their mouths while their large bodies were hidden out of sight. And
no way we're falling for that. Your body is hidden away as your head and giant-ass neck go creeping through to get smaller fish. See, but I guess like if his head is the size of them, you're like, oh wow, this guy's really long for some reason, but you don't see his giant body.
Thus giving them
that's kind of tech, guys. It's kind of tech.
The chance to ambush prey. Perhaps even confusing a fish into thinking that they were a fish.
Exactly.
Too.
That's what I'm saying.
Once they struck, though, it was clear that they were no friendly fish. As like many specialized fishers, the Plesiosauroids had teeth that were angled in such a way that they created a natural fish trap once closed. In addition to fish,
why does he look like you? Okay.
It is believed that they also hunted snails, clams, and other small creatures. So, while not apex predators, these guys were no doubt still highly skilled and successful, as demonstrated by their extreme level of diversity. Which brings up the question of where did they and the rest of the crazy animals...
Okay, no, we don't have the same mouth. I'm not British. My teeth don't point outwards. Like, let me... British teeth name. That... This is him. This is him. Funny that came up.
Animals that called these waters home go. Well, some seem to have had a slow decline, or in other cases, evolved into something else. Animals also had to deal with the fact that the Seaway was constantly shrinking. Although, what really changed the Seaway for good was the asteroid that slammed into Earth 66 million years ago, causing extreme disruption and damage to say the least.
Tell you what, if I was there, I would have stopped it.
The impact was especially bad here compared to other bodies of water, considering that the giant rock touched down rather close, sending a giant tsunami, as well as other unpleasantries through the waters, as evidenced by fish found with iridium in their gills. This devastation wiped out many of the more iconic sea monsters, and finally brought an end to Hell's Aquarium. Don't be mistaken though, as the waters have been home to many nightmarish creatures after the end of the Western Interior Seaway.
Bang! When apes ruled the planet? Interesting.
Relatively recently, when a species of dolphin emerged in North America that had literal spears for teeth.
Oh, obviously, of course. Fellas, good video. Good video! I like that. That was fun.